The following that I have spoken today is all true, but I'm fucking trashed. Listen up, gamers. This is Twilight Princess. I'm going to do this very special privilege of you to not play Twilight Princess if you want to know the story. I'll tell you everything you need to know. Start of the game. You play a young boy named Link, and he has a horse named Epona. We're about to go on our journey. So the main point of why we're leaving the village is that we need to go deliver a sword to the Hyrule royal family. The little girl that looks like a boy sees a monkey and decides to chase off after it. We go after him into the forest, and we get to the little boy, and they're being attacked by goblins, and they're also with the monkey. We kill the goblins. The little boy tells us not to tell his parents, but bitch Colin already told everybody in the village, so they got in trouble. We're about to go on our journey to deliver Ordon's shield and sword. We decide, we're going to go walk by the mayor's office. That's on our way home. And then Leah comes in, and she's like, oh no, your horse is hurt. How dare you, Link, you fat bastard. You're the worst person in the world. And so she takes our horse, and then we have to go retrieve our horse. So we follow her to the springs, which are nearby. And she's having a real touching moment with Link. And then all these Bokens, and with their king Boblin, comes and attacks, whack the shit out of Link, knock him out, and then shoot Leah with an arrow, but perfectly fine. No arrow wound, no scar, no nothing. All the kids are gone. Not just Colin and Leah are all gone. They've been taken. We don't know where they are. We wake up 15 seconds later from when they attacked. And we start running towards the forest that we just went to. Big problem this time, when we get to the end of the bridge, it's covered in this blackish, yellowish wall. The Twilight wall, if you will. And then all of a sudden, a giant hand grabs us. We see these weird looking creatures, and all of a sudden, we turn into a wolf. That's it. That's what you become. Shit happens. It's whatever. He gets taken to a jail of some sort. We don't know where we are yet. Then all of a sudden, this mysterious creature comes up, and she's like, hey, if you do something for me, I'll break it for you. And this character's name's Midna. We start moving out of the jail, and as we go through it, we start seeing spirits, and these are just people, but they can't see us. Wolf Link has special abilities. He can dig, but he also has dog or wolf senses. So he can see things that normal people can't. We're moving along through this jail. We realize we're in the sewers, and we go from the sewers to this castle-looking area. We still have no clue where we are. But then we eventually get to this point where we realize we're in Hyrule Castle. We finally find this person, and it happens to be, Princess Zelda. She tells us what we need to do in order for us to become not Wolf Link. And Midna has this nice little neat warp ability. So we go from the castle all the way back to Ordon Village. And luckily, when we get back to Ordon Village, just so happens those shadow beasts are attacking the spring that was healing our horse. We kill it, and as we kill it, there is a sacred spirit that says, hey, you're the best. It tells us what's going on and saying, hey, all my other spirit friends, they're dead. They're not dead, but they're not doing their light shit anymore. So we continue to the spring of Faron. He says, hey man, I'm pretty much dead. My light has been taken away by these bugs. We are giving this vessel of light, and we are tasked to go get the tears of light. And wow, once you have all the tears, light is restored to the area. We are no longer a wolf. We go back to the forest where we saved the little child. The main reason why we're still with Midna is that we are looking to find something called fused shadows. But Midna needs them to stop Zant, the guy that's trying to take us over, from killing us all. And the first one is in this forest dungeon. A lot of the ways to get stuff are something only monkeys can do. Thank God the female monkey is there to help us out. We finally find the boss that destroyed our bridge, and we, beat his ass like the monkey is. So we get his boomerang as well, and it's a wind boomerang. And we get to the, boss room. We throw some bombs in their mouths, they blow up, whatever. And then the real one comes out. But thank God we got that boss monkey back in business, because now he zip lines through the field with the living bombs. After we kill it, we get one part of the fuse shadow. There's 4 parts of the fuse shadow, and Midna already has 1. After we continue, the Pharaoh spirit thanks us and is like, "Hey man, my homie in Eldin, he dead too." So we go on our journey through Hyrule Field, but on our way there, we get to meet the best character in the game, the mailman. You know, he says some very, normal lines. Hey! And then he gives us a letter. Best character of the whole game. After the mailman, though, once we get through a little bit of Hyrule Field and we reach another wall of Twilight, we happen to find the wooden sword that we gave little girl that looks like a boy. We get their scent because we're a wolf and we can sniff. But we have the issue of the bridge to where we were going to the Spring of Eldin was destroyed. Luckily, though, Midna has this useful ability to warp. We warp it back to the area where the bridge needs to be. And we find the legendary Kakariko village. We talk to the Spirit of Eldin, because the Spirit of Eldin literally in the town of Kakariko. He gives us the Vessel of Light, and we go, get more Tears of Light. We have to go into this building, and we notice all the kids from Ordon are there, besides Leah. We do that. We go up to Death Mountain. We happen to find our first howling thing, and we howl with another wolf. He teaches us special moves because he's the hero of the past. Don't worry about him. You learn one for free before you go into the forest dungeon. So, we get to Death Mountain. We think all the Gorons are living life decently fine, but the problem, they keep on telling us the problem that their chief has gone bonkers. So we, attempt to go up to Goron Mountain, but then this Goron sees us, knocks our ass back down. We actually happen to see all the kids and the guy who's taking care of them, Ronaldo. Ronaldo's like, "Hey man, I saw you going up. You can't do that. There's no way to get past them. But I know a person who is able to do it. His name is Bo, and he's the mayor of Ordon." And we start walking back through the village. But oh no, Epona is coming, and she has some of the Bobokins on them. So we hop on her and we wrangle her real good. We talk to the mayor, and he's like, "That's a big secret. I'll only tell you the big secret if you beat me in sumo wrestling." And he's like, "Alright, I'll tell you the secret. You get some boots made of iron." After we got our boots, oh no, King Boboblin, he's back in town. He has them all of a sudden tied up on a staff. That happened real quick. So we whack him a couple times until he gets pissed. He wants a total lance-on-lance fight. Problem there is, Link whoops his ass and knocks him off the bridge. We're now able to face the Gorons up Death Mountain. We see that first Goron, he starts rolling on us, but since we got the iron boots now, we're able to just pick them up and shove them aside. We skill up Death Mountain, we face some Gorons, and of course the first thing you see when you go inside Death Mountain is 10 Gorons about to roll on you. So as we're about to get rolled on, one of the elders comes by and he's like, "Wait up, dude. We're fair and honest people. Let's have a sumo wrestling match, my dude. But if you don't have the iron boots on, he'll just instantly push you off. So you gotta have them on beforehand." And he's like, "Wow, this guy's good. He beat me at sumo wrestling. We completely trust him now. He's gonna save our entire tribe. Go save our chieftain." So we're allowed into Death Mountain, and then this giant Goron, probably the biggest Goron you see, even bigger than the chieftain, is like, "What are you doing here, human? I'm gonna punch you into the lava." You beat him up and then you throw him into the lava. And he's like, "You were sent here by the elders? Dude, why'd you not tell me? If you want the hero's treasure, it's in that room behind me. Go get it. And it's a bow." The only way to get to where the chieftain is that we have to go find all the elders in the area and get their part of the key that unlocks to the area. So we walk in there, and it's a really dark room. It's got this big dark beast in it, completely chained out from arms to limbs. His mechanic is that he's got chains that he broke off, and he's got this giant gemstone on his forehead. Because we shoot the gem, and he gets real sad and real mad. He starts stomping around. We grab the chain with our iron boots and we pull them back, and then he trips. The thing is, though, we find out after we beat him, is that all the darkness around this guy becomes the Fuse Shadow. But after we get the second Fuse Shadow, she explains to us why Zant wants to take over the Realm of Light. Their tribe or whatever has been suppressed in the Realm of Twilight or the Realm of Dark, so Zant takes the power that he's attained and tries to rule over the Realm of Light, so it's just the Realm of Darkness. So after that, there's only one spring left. The Hylia Spring, because it's in Hylia Lake. Finally find the Twilight Realm again, we turn into a wolf again. After we get there, we're going through, and we finally cross ourselves on a bridge above Hylia Lake. There's a problem though. A guy at the very end of the bridge has his bridge covered in oil, sets it on fire, but the way to do this is just jump off the bridge. Once we jump in it though, we notice that it's pretty much dry. So we start investigating, and then we enter Zora's domain. We notice that it's completely frozen. We needed to get it unfrozen and water flowing again. So we work there, and we get the magma rock, we bring it back to the frozen area, and we literally drop this like 20 to 30 meter rock. But it just, melts the ice. The Zora Queen, who's already dead, long gone, comes in like a spirit form and talks to us, and she's like, I will reward you if you save my son. And once that happens, we're able to finally reach the Spring of Lanayru. Lanayru tells us the Fuse Shadows are an ancient evil relic. What happened is we had the Goddess Realm, and the Goddess Realm made the Sacred Realm, where all the good shit happened, but people were pissed that they weren't in the Sacred Realm, so they used this power, the Fuse Shadows, to control the Sacred Realm. And then they used 3 spirits to seal away the Fuse Shadows. And he tells us where the last Fuse Shadow is. It's in a temple under Lake Hylia, the water temple. But we can't get down there because we're human and we need to breathe. With only no options left to do as the human Link, we decide to go to Hyrule Castle, and we meet Telma, the little boy Zora, and we meet Leah again. We see her for the first time, but she looks at us and turns away like she's never met us. And they're having a conversation about how they need to get this little Zora boy healed, but they know of a shaman in Kakariko Village that can heal him. And then she sees us and she's like, oh, I'm so happy this young swordsman would help us take us. And she tells us that Leah has amnesia. So we begin our journey to take them to all the way to Kakariko Village. But the problem is, if you remember the Boblin King, he's now on the other bridge. We go, we see him, and then he's like, haha, I have 2 giant shields on my arm. We shoot him with a bow and arrow from 10 miles away, and we lead them to Kakariko Town. After we save the sun, we see Zora's Queen again. We follow the Zora Queen all the way to the graveyard of Kakariko Village, and the King of Zoras is buried there. He made a special armor that perfectly fitted us to breathe underwater. Just entered Hell's Incarnate. This gimmick has that we have to get water flowing from certain areas into the main area. We go and fight the mini-boss of the dungeon. We get the claw shot, and that gives us the access to the main boss. He's just a couple little tentacles in the sand, nothing special, and a mouth. We get the eyeball from the tentacles, we get it with the claw shot, we beat it up, but after that, we learn that a giant snake-like, centipede-like monster comes out of the sand, and we fight him. He kills himself pretty much, actually. That is the last fused shadow that we get. We always show up at the spring that we saved. Oh wait! Zant's there! He knocks us on our ass, and then the spirit of Lanayru comes out, and then Zant literally points his hand downwards, and then his spirit goes into the water, and then Twilight comes back. So it's Twilight again. We turn into a wolf, but then Zant puts a fucking stone in our heads. Zant's able to use some telekinesis to hold it in one place. And Zant decides, bring back the light of Lanayru. And he uses his light powers, but he basically only murders Midna. But Midna uses her power to teleport her and me out of there. We're still wolfling because we got this giant stone on our head. So we decide, we gotta go reach Princess Zelda, because that's what that's like the 2 words she said so far. We finally get to Princess Zelda, and Midna's like, help Link reach everything he needs needs to do. And all of a sudden, Zelda's like, I trust you with everything. And Zelda gave up her life and energy so Midna could survive. And Zelda's told us to go to the Sacred Grove in Faron Woods. We follow a path, and then we find the entrance of Faron Woods. So we go to the sword, the Master Sword. A big flashy show happens, and we return human. And she's like, hey, we should really leave this stone here or destroy it, and I can make you turn into a wolf on command. Wait, that's a great idea. Let's keep it. Since Zant attacked us and took all of our fuse shadows, we need to go to Zant to attack him. And he's in the Twilight Realm. But there's actually, surprisingly enough, a way into the Twilight Realm. It was a mirror. We make our way through the desert sand / temple. Once we go on our way, we happen to find the mini boss of the dungeon, and he is another ghost, and he gives us the most legendary item of all time, uncontested, favorite item. No one in the Zelda community or fans would ever disagree with me. The spinner. And we use it to traverse the rest of the area, and we finally get to boss of this dungeon. And whoa, it's Zant! But Zant creates a sword and he puts it in an undead dragon. There's two phases. One where he's got a spine and arms, all that good jazz. Second phase comes in and he's just a floating head, and literally all it is that you're on a pillar that slowly goes up and walls that go in a perfect circle. And then after that, you're like, I'm done here. Time to go to the Mirror of Twilight. But you have to do a couple things. You got to bring up this black rock. After you do that, you have a little cutscene where Midna goes up and she's like, haha, we did it! And the mirror has been shattered in 4 pieces. And we have to go and collect the other 3 pieces. But the sages are there to tell us where the other 3 pieces are. And give us a little backstory on a little known person called Ganondorf. And he tells you, I'm going to kill everything and be the ruler of the world. And they stab him with this light sword that shows that has a Triforce of power on his wrist. And then he breaks the chain, and then he grabs one of the sage and chokes them out. And then they're like, let's open the mirror. And they send him to the Twilight Realm. So we go to someplace called Snow Peak Mountain. You find the Yeti. He's like, you're looking for a mirror? Dude, I found a mirror. It's in my house, hanging up in my bedroom. You want it? Whatever, dude. But there's a problem. I don't remember where the key is. I think it's this place. It's a fucking pumpkin. And you go back to Yetta, and she's like, oh no, I think it's in this place. And then she tells you somewhere else, and it's got 2 bodies of armor. Once you kill them, you get the ball and chain. Once you got the ice ball, you can break through ice balls and continue on your way through dungeon. So you go back to Yetta, and she's like, it could be in this place. And lo and behold, it's the key! So we go to the bedroom, we open it up, and then her head breaks, and she looks at us and she says, take mirror. And the whole point of this boss is you slam the ice ball into her face, and she dies. You get your second piece of mirror. So yeah, Rosalio decides to tell you, like, hey man, there's a ancient temple back there that's probably got a hidden power, and you should go get it, Link. And you go back in this door that's literally just a door, and if you go through this door, you go back into the time. And it's the Temple of Time! You find this guy who's all clad in armor and sword and shield, and he's called the Dark Nut. But after you defeat him, the weapon you get, or tool you get, is called the Dominion Rod. This rod has the power to control vessels. As you progress back to the main area where you notice there's only one statue there, you take the other statue that should probably be right next to it, and then after you get him lined up again, you go to the boss. You find the boss. It's a giant spider on top of the roof. The gimmick of this boss is that he likes to shoot a laser beam out of his eyeball. You shoot it with a bow and arrow. You take control of one of the 4 statues in the area, and you slam its hammer down on him. You're done. You get your 3rd piece. We now have the Dominion Rod, so we can go to the Sky Temple. Haha, psych! We can't, actually. After we left the Temple of Time, all the power went away. Luckily, we know some guy who is really savvy well, savvy enough. He doesn't know everything about him, but he knows a decent amount. And he's like, there's some people that know the spell and I don't. And we go to Kakariko Village, and Ronaldo's like, hey man, someone who might know where that is that the abandoned village. And we meet this old ass lady. She says a spell, and we get some power back to the rod. Problem is the rod's not at full power. So we had to go through all of Hyrule and find those fucking stupid ass statues. They have special little letters for us. Once we get all of those and we learn the full chant, we're able to get the full power of the Dominion Rod. And at the same time, Leah, she's able to slowly regain her memory during this time. And she's like, holy shit, Link? You were my dude! The big side of the story is that under Kakariko Village, he's got this statue that has a seal on it. And as long as we can move it, we get special parts to make a cannon to shoot us to the heavens. As we go through it, we find Lizabalos. Once we defeat him, though, he gives us another claw shot. You've noticed there's this giant fucking dragon, and he's the main boss of the dungeon. You got these 4 towers around him. You use these towers to get up very high. You get to different planes of field, and you're able to attack him. You hit him in the face a couple times. He dies. And you get the last piece of mirror. So we go to the Realm of Twilight. And Minda starts talking about the Realm of Twilight. And just to tell you, because I didn't tell you this before, I was the queen of this area. I was top diggity dog. So there's 2 paths you can take. Both those paths have a certain power that we need to bring back to the middle. Happenstance is, if you ever played Smash Bros. Before, Crazy Hand and Master Hand come out of fucking nowhere. And they want to take that power back if you're too slow. Once you get to Zan, it goes on more exposition about how his master is Dark Lord Ganondorf. And you get to learn some more backstory about how Zant used to be a little bitch, but then Ganon came to him and he's like, hey man, don't be a bitch. And then he gave him some of his power, and then Zant took pretty much over the whole Twilight Realm. Zant, who you thought was this calm, chilling, creepy ass character who did creepy things, but who's just all powerful. He's a goofball. Literally, he likes to dance around, freak out, and make these freaky noises. On his boss fight, he takes you to every single boss fight you've ever fought in. You just gotta rinse and repeat if you remember. Once you defeat him, we happen to get all the Fuse Shadows back because you have to keep them on this person. And then she uses a fraction of her power and instantly pops him. We go back to the World of the Light, and we go back to the Hyrule Castle. And at this point, Hyrule Castle covered in this barrier. So once we come back, Midna's just like, wait, let me show you a trick. And she becomes a hentai monster, and she comes and jumps on the barrier and just destroys it. We get to see Boblin again. And as you get to the tippity top of Hyrule Tower, you're suspecting Ganon, and only Ganon. But lo and behold, Zelda is trapped in the Triforce, and he's going to control her. So he gets in Zelda's body, and you fight that, and she makes these little light balls, you hit them back at her. He becomes Dark Beast Ganon, and he's a giant fucking thing. And the way to beat him is turning into your wolf form. If you remember, he got stabbed by the sages a while back. He acts like he's done, he's beat, whatever. But Midna's like, I'll finish him off. She's like, puts on all the Fuse Shadows, become a hentai monster, warps Link and Zelda out of there, and she attacks Ganon by herself. A little later, they're in Hyrule Field. All of a sudden, Ganondorf is there. He's got the helmet, the very first Fuse Shadow that Midna had, and then we're like, let's kill him. She gets her light arrows. We hit him a couple times, rinse and repeat, yada yada. He makes a barrier, blocks out Zelda, and it's one-on-one combat. He's using the sword that stabbed him. You're the only move you learn in the entire game by force from Link from the Past is the final blow, or the finishing blow, and that's where he stabs him in the heart. And then he gets back up. And you're like, God damn it, phase 10? And then about to be on the frontal attack again, but you see a nice little cinematic of Zant, and then Ganondorf pretty much dies. Midna comes back to life pretty much. She gets resurrected. They go back to the Portal Twilight where she's going to go home. And then she breaks the mirror. And that's pretty much the end of the game.
If you had to give advice to someone who's never played Twilight Princess before, just one advice, what would it be?
The hidden moves that the master teaches you are important. They help. They're great. They're a core feature in my opinion. You don't have to get any of them, but you should get all of them. They're so important.